So hey there, thanks for checking out my videos. I do greatly appreciate it. We're back out in the yard working away on the truck, so I thought I'd share some information on it, kind of give you an idea what was going on. So I finished off doing the panels, my rockers, using stovepipe, again using another video from YouTube to kind of give me a reference. I'll leave a link down below for it. Had a little nicer setup in studio space and walk through the whole process. I'm just giving you an overview. I did do a video of kind of how I did it and how I formed the metal, but unfortunately we had a little bit of a hot spell there for a little while, and it seemed to have killed the battery in my phone, and it didn't save the file. So again, hi there, I'm an amateur YouTuber, it happens, but if you want me to get better equipment and you want me to kind of invest a little more time into production, you leave a thumbs up or you subscribe. Maybe I'll invest in something beyond a Google Pixel 3. So again, it kind of gives you a reference point there. I think we're at almost 400 subscribers, which is pretty impressive considering this is just a hobby. And I just kind of go over car repair and kind of the driveway. I do a little bit on Turo. I talk a little bit about Omvec. I'm also talking a little bit about just general repairs. And I do a live session about every 2 weeks about changing industries. We talk about robotics, we talk a little bit about automation, we talk a little bit about production, we also talk a little bit about tariffs, which seems to be a hot topic right now. And that's on the live sessions. I do post them, so if you want to check them out, by all means, go to my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. So we missed out on saving the file on working with the stovepipe. So stovepipe, this is used for a dryer vent, or it's used for a hot water heater. So this is the smaller pipe, and it works really well for the rockers that I have, because when you unfold it, it's about 10 inches, 10 and a half, somewhere around that range. I've got an 8.5 inch coverage that I need to kind of fold into, and it gives me a little bit of a room to fold it actually into the sill. So again, this is a really good product for this particular application. This is a 60-inch item, so it's about 20 bucks Canadian for it. So very affordable, very pliable, works really well. Again, this wouldn't be for structural stuff. So in other words, you can't replace a frame with it, but you can definitely do a cosmetic panel with this. It works really well. Now, unfortunately, it comes with a little bit of a finish to it. So there's an oil or a residue on it to prevent rust and corrosion during kind of inventory and stocking and moving it around in the warehouse. So you have to clean that. So you go over this with a Windex or just a general cleaner to take the oil off. I use spray Windex, well, the generic stuff. It works really well for taking the oil off this and doing a prep. And then what you want to do is you want to rough the surface up with a fairly coarse pad, and the one that I've picked up. If you're on a budget and you don't do this a lot, go to Dollarama, and they have a Pro Series, and this is about $3, and you get yourself a little attachment, and you get a block, and one block does both panels. So very affordable from that standpoint. All you want to do is scuff the surface a little bit after you've cleaned it. You want to do that because you want a primer on this, and a couple reasons for that. Number one, paint and, well, rocker guard doesn't really adhere to this very well. It'll wash off with a high pressure washer. So you want to put a good primer on it, and the primer that I like is the stuff from Rustoleum. And this is the one that does 2 cans in one, essentially. And it's about $13 for the can currently. Again, you're going to see prices move up probably pretty shortly on it. This stuff works great, dries quickly. There's a nice solid base to it as well. So if you're going to do a panel where you want to, again, sand it again, or you're trying to fill in something, this will do some of it. It's not as good as an automotive primer, but it's half the price, and it works really well with this stuff, which really isn't automotive. So again, Rustoleum on this works really well. Again, remember to prep the surface, scratch it up a little bit, scuff it, so that the primer will have something to kind of eat into and kind of lock. And plus you got to make sure the oil is off it, or the finish from the shipping is taken away. Now, stone shield, again, this is on here. Once we've prepped the surface, we put the primer on, we do a high build stone shield. And the reason we're doing that is I want to put 2 or 3 layers on this particular application. The reason being, see if we can catch the light. If you look at the piping, you'll see that it's got some little ripples and some dents in it, and that's going to be hidden by this stuff once you put 2 or 3 coats on. It's not going to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. If you're looking to build a show truck, this is not what to do. But this will make this kind of a neutral item where visually you don't pick up on these little imperfections. The stone shield in the high build from Rustoleum is also paintable. So it means I could throw a coat of red to match the truck if I want to hide it even more. And I'll probably end up doing that once this settles and kind of sets. This takes almost 2 weeks in summer to really kind of set up and be solid enough where you could repaint it. So in other words, it does say it's paintable, but it's not right out of the can paintable. So just be aware of that. You gotta let it sit for a little bit. So that's where we've been at with that. This is also really good for covering up on the Bondo glass. So again, if you're using this Bondo glass stuff and you don't want to get into like that really finished type thing where you want it perfect, this will hide some of the actual imperfections in the Bondo glass. It'll fill some of the little sanding marks and bits and pieces on it, right? So again, visually, you don't pick up on it as much. So that's basically what we did with the stovepipe. And I'll give you a little show on the panel so you get an idea what it's all about. And I'm going to apologize for giving you kind of a rough little view here, again, because I don't do any real editing. There's no script to it. It's essentially me just doing the work. We'll just do a quick little run through so you get an idea what it looks like finished. And this is about a week after the process. So again, you can see that it's got that texturized finish to it. I folded it up into the panel work, so you can see that it goes right into the sill plate. Gives it a nice natural little bump to it, which is really well. And then on the bottom, you can see that it's still got some folds and bends in it from being moved, but because it's a semi-gloss or almost a matte finish, you can't really see it, and because it's kind of got a little texture to it, it's well hidden. Now I can throw a coat of red paint on this to kind of match up with the rest of the truck if I wanted to. I'm not that too concerned about it. I'm not really hiding the work. So in other words, I'm not trying to make this look like it's a brand new truck or anything fancy, or hiding the fact that this is a replacement panel that's been handmade. Now a nice thing on this one is a lot of the guys will do a spray foam and then they'll put a Bondo or a finish on top of that. This is solid, so it's nice in that regards. And if you're going to go through the MTO or you're going to go through an inspection, apparently they're cracking down on that spray foam, Bondo kind of backyard repair. This is a little more of a structured item. And again, it's one of those things where I'm probably going to get 2 or 3 years out of it. It's nice and solid. Again, because I've replaced the entire panel, so you can kind of see there. Folded into the metalwork at the front, it goes into the actual cavity, so it actually goes into the side panel there and folds in. So again, it is almost like a replacement panel that I've built. So it's one of those things where you could probably go ahead, cut this panel out, re-weld a new one in. Again, you'd probably be looking at about $1,200, $1,500 Canadian to get it done. This, I think I'm into it now for about probably $200, if that. So again, not including my time, of course. That kind of gives you an idea. On the cab corner, so again, really horrible body work. So in other words, I didn't spend any real time trying to finish this off, again, because I'm not trying to hide it. So it's not one of those things where I'm trying to say, hey, look, this is a perfect brand new truck. It's not. And there really wasn't a hole here per se. There's a soft spot, and I brought the metalwork around here and wrapped it. So it ends right at this spot, and all I really wanted to do was just hide that little seam or that little body part where you've got the metal kind of coming into the panel itself. And again, I'll do another coat of that rocker guard on it. I'll probably sand this down as it kind of gets a little harder, so another week or two, and it'll be somewhat flush or a little cleaner as far as visual is concerned. But again, it's a work truck. I'm not that concerned with the visual look of it. I just wanted something solid. So when they go and they do a little tap, they go, okay, it's solid, it's hollow, there's nothing behind it in the way of like spray foam or paper mache, who knows. But it's a metal repair, so it's good. Backside, there's no holes in the back of the panel. Again, because this is just debris off the tire, and you can kind of see that that's where it comes from. Kicks up, scratches the paint, leaves room for rust, and then you end up getting this panel to kind of go a little bit brown. Once it goes a little bit brown, it starts eating really quick. Then you have a hole to deal with, so that eliminates that. Again, I do apologize for not showing you the actual prep work and the finish of it. I'll leave a link down below, somebody who's actually done the work in a shop, and that'll be a little bit better for you anyways, but it does work, and it's a functional repair that isn't going to break the bank. I'm going to say that off and on, I probably took about 3 days of kind of working for a couple hours on each day to make this done. So all in all, probably about 6 hours worth of work. But you have to break it up because you have to wait for the primer to dry, the Gorilla Glue to set. You've got to wait for the stone shield to kind of do its thing. It takes a day or so for the Bondo glass to kind of set up solid so you can work with it. So in other words, you've got to break it up a little bit. So it's one of those things where if you're doing it like an hour after work for a week, you probably get her done and out the door pretty easily. But it's a project that can be done with hand tools, basic knowledge, and a little bit of patience and frugal shopping. That's all you have to worry about. So again, I hope this helps you out a little bit. And again, it's not meant to be a full-on production. It's literally me out in the driveway. You can hear the cars in the background, just tinkering away on a truck, trying to get it up and ready for a check over. That's all. So again, I would greatly appreciate it. Do a little PBS moment. If you subscribed, put a thumbs up would be great. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant and enjoyable day.